we're ready as well. Okay. Tonight we are talking about contracting and procurement. Our last mastermind, we talked about the certification. That's just a process that you go through for preparing your business to be ready to go through the bidding, or what we call RFP, that stands for request for price. RFQ, request for quote. Yes, that's correct. RFI is request for information. Those are three different types of uh, announcements that government agencies and corporations will disperse through their procurement system to let vendors and suppliers know that there is an opportunity for contracting, and or a request for information because they're looking to see if there are any vendors or suppliers that can meet their needs. So you just want to be aware of the differences and what the processes are for bidding on contract opportunities. Let me say this, there's billions of dollars, as I've stated from the beginning of this, that's available through contracting with larger corporations and with government agencies. And remember, there are four different types of government agencies. You could be federal, you could be state agency, they can be municipal, they could be local or county. And so there's windows of opportunity depending upon what type of business you have that are open to you as and small businesses, minority owned and small businesses, if you understand the process. So there's a couple of things that you want to be aware of that I'm going to break down for you tonight when assessing whether or not you are in the business to do business with corporations or with government agencies. Not everyone and not every business type has something to sell to corporations or government agencies. You want to do the due diligence and the research and the work to determine or find out if there is a market for you. You don't want to create and make up something to fit. You want to find out if there's something you have that you can sell and make available to corporations or government agencies before embarking on this process. It is a tedious, long process. Number one, getting prepared, but then applying and then waiting for a response and competing. It's a tedious process. It takes a lot of time. And in all honesty, most businesses will allocate or dedicate a resource, a person, part time or full time, whereas that's their job, is finding and applying and bidding on government or corporate opportunities. Because if it's just you as a solo entrepreneur, it takes a great deal of time, and it'll take you away from your focus in the business. But sometimes it's you who starts out. I'm just letting you know up front that most of the time it's a dedicated person who's looking for the opportunity, who is building the relationships with the decision makers, and then who's actually writing those proposals. And proposals can sometimes be a 2-page sheet, or it could be 120 pages. It just depends on what you're bidding on, how large it is, how complex it is, and what they require from you. And I'll talk more about that as well. So, where do I want to start? I want to start at the top from the perspective of the agency or corporation. So for this sake in presentation, I'm going to call them an entity. Okay. Entity can be government or it could be corporation. I'm just going to use that word universally. But the entity, the very first step that you want to do, as I mentioned, and you can write this down in your notes, is research which government agency or entity you want to do business with or you feel you could do business with because they have a need or demand for your product or service. That's going to take a little bit of time if you do not have a relationship already inside of an entity to find out what do they buy. You can look on their website. You can call their procurement or purchasing department to ask what are the commodities that they outsource. Usually they call it commodities or services, professional services that they outsource. If you don't if you want to go the short route, sometimes you'll get a very helpful representative inside of the entity who will answer those questions for you. Sometimes you won't, but they are required to share any information that you may ask that's available to the public. Okay, so you want to do your research to see which entities buy what you have to sell. You want to create yourself a database of those entities and what their cycles are for purchasing. Cycles meaning what time of the year do they usually put out their procurement opportunities. Historically, when I was bidding on contracts, what I would see is that the end of the fiscal year usually is around October, November timeframe, between September and November. And that is when what you will see is a lot of managers inside of those entities trying to spend their budget. And so you will see an influx of a lot of contract opportunities flow through the procurement website around August, September through November timeframe because they're trying to spend their budget, okay? So they don't lose it. You also will see an influx of procurement opportunities in January to, well, no, it's quiet January to March, but usually a pickup around April or May, quiet, and then pick up around August, September, or September, October when they're trying to spend their budget. Okay. So once you know what agencies or entities you want to sell to or that you are a fit you feel for, you want to understand their purchasing cycle. When do they buy? Because submitting any type of code proposal is going to get you thrown in the trash, file 13 instantaneously. You want to understand what their process is for procurement. The second thing that you're going to need is, along with your research and your database, I should say the third thing, is something that's called a capability statement. A capability statement. This is universally known in the procurement and purchasing world. And it is simply, I'll let you write it down, capability statement, but it is simply a document, a one sheet information sheet that defines and describes what who your company is, what you do, what your NACE codes are, your SIC codes are, who you've sold to before, how large your contract was, and how to contact you. Okay. And so you need a capability statement. You need it in a PDF format and you need it to be available on your website for it to easily be downloaded. It could be on your contact page as a link, it doesn't have to be fancy, but you need to have a capability statement that you can easily share with a decision maker inside of the entity that you're trying to build a relationship with. Because uh, decision makers inside of the entities, they look at that information and they want it quick and they want it easy and they want to be able to understand where you fit, because they may be that manager, that purchasing manager may be representing multiple departments inside of a government agency or corporation, and they have managers that they report to or serve. What does that mean? That means a manager may need to buy 10,000 bottles of water for whatever reason. A manager cannot go and buy it on their own. They can't just run to the store, swipe the card. they have to go through purchasing to, number one, get their request approved, submit the data and details of what they need, and get an approval of the budget. And so once they've done that, it goes to purchasing, which is the manager that is going to then input all of those details for what their needs are into their system, whatever system they're using, whether it's digital, electronic, software of some sort, or old school. But once they do that, they enter that information and it goes from the manager to purchasing. Purchasing then puts the bid out on the street. That's what they call it. They put it out on the street. They disperse this call for bottled water. And then you receive the email. And if you sell bottled water, you're going to prepare to respond to that. Well, that purchasing manager may represent that manager and 20 other managers from different departments. So if you're able to provide to them a one-sheeter that explains all I do is sell bottled water, and that bid comes up and they remember you, sometimes you will receive an email or notification letting you know beforehand that an opportunity may be presenting itself. That's all they can tell you, right? And so it's important that you make it very easy for a purchasing manager and a decision maker to remember you, know what you do, and know how to contact you when an opportunity presents itself. If you go in trying to explain that you sell 5,000 different things that are not related, it's going to be harder for you to secure contracts. So you want to make sure that you're focused, that everything that you sell aligns with the industry that you're stating that you're in, and you keep your business very simple to make it easy for you if this is the route that you want to go. Okay, so you have your research, you have your database, a listing of all of the entities you feel you could do business with. You have your capability statement created, and I'm going to show you an example of a capability statement. You have your what else? Your contacts. So you already have that. You want to attend as many information sessions or procurement sessions that fit your business, so that you start to build relationships with those purchasing managers. I would say, and if I had some purchasing managers on the line with me, I would say that 75% of, no, maybe about 55% of the contracts that are won are based on the relationship that they have with purchasing managers and decision makers inside of the organization. So what does that mean? That means that if you've never attended an information session, you've never attended a networking event for that entity, you've never sent a capability statement to a decision maker or a purchasing manager, you've not registered your business with them, the likelihood of you closing on a contract or being awarded a contract, small or large, is unlikely. Building those relationships and being very, very clear about what you do and the value that you bring to the, or could bring to the entity. Value can be price, but it's not always dependent upon price. There are other factors, and you want to be aware of what those are. And the only way that you can get that is by building those personal relationships. And that's not via email. Email is annoying to purchasing managers. I'm going to tell you that right now. And more than likely, what will happen if you bombard purchasing managers with unsolicited or cold emails is that you're going to get trash, trash, delete. They get too many. It's way too many. And if they don't know you, they're not going to read. So don't take that approach of bombarding purchasing managers with emails. Meet them when they host events. Shake their hand, give them your information, stand out, be unique, and make sure you're clear on what value you bring to the table. Okay, so the fourth step I just mentioned, but I'm now going to point out, is registering. If you have identified an agency that you feel that you potentially could provide products or services to, you must register your business on their procurement website. It's the only way that you're going to receive notifications of any open opportunities. There's no other way. Okay. And so registering is nothing more than setting up your profile and giving them all of the information about your business. And that takes a while if you have a list of, say, 50 entities you've identified. But it's the only way that you're going to find out when there are open opportunities, okay? So once you do your research, you identified and you know that they buy the type of service product that you sell. Remember, you're not doing this cold and hoping that they will someday. You do your research to find out, do they buy this? Do they outsource this? And if they do, also in that research, let me step back real quick. I forgot to say this. There are certain corporations and government agencies that will have two divisions or parts of their purchasing department or to their purchasing department. They will have overall big picture purchasing, but then sometimes they will have a minority supplier or diversity procurement division whose sole responsibility is to go out and find businesses like yours, to bring you in, to register, to become aware of opportunities that the entity may have that you may qualify to bid for. That's their job. That sole job is to meet, greet, recruit, train, groom, get you ready to access opportunities that may fit your industry or business. Okay. Not all entities have a minority supplier or diversity procurement arm, but most today do. That's the entry that you want to go through. It's not the sole one. You can just go in under purchasing. But if you're certified, like we talked about before, you're woman owned, minority owned, veteran owned, disabled owned, and you're certified, build a relationship with their diversity procurement or diversity purchasing representatives so that they know you. Because their job and their performance is based on how many qualified minority small businesses they bring to the table that can be awarded contracts. Okay. Okay. So that's the difference. If you ever see diversity or minority procurement or some minority supplier departments inside of purchasing, that's their job, is to cultivate those relationships to get you ready for opportunities. Okay, going back now, I just took a step back because I wanted to make sure you understood the difference. Now going back, taking a step forward, registering your company. You go to their website, you set up your profile, you register your business. You're essentially saying, I believe I have something available to you to sell, and I'm setting up my profile so that I can become aware of any opportunities that are distributed through the procurement system to let me know when you have a need. And once you do that, what's going to happen is you're going to receive every email that contains your NAICS code or your SIC code or your commodities code that you put in that may be a hit or not. So that you want to be very careful as to which NAICS code or SIC code that you apply to your business, don't select more than 5, because you're more than likely not in an industry that represents you and what you do more than one. If you do 5, you're going to get a lot of or RFP opportunities or announcements that aren't a fit for you. And then you'll waste a lot of time reviewing, looking at things that really aren't not relevant to you and your business because you put that code on your profile. You'll just receive it automatically. So just be careful and not list far too many codes. Stick to what you do, and your codes will, if there's ever an opportunity, you're going to receive the notice. Another thing that I would recommend, I leave it up to you all, however, is to maybe set up an email that where you can receive all of those announcements from all of the entities that you register with. What that means is you probably won't use your main email address, because if you register with 20 entities and they are streaming announcements or RFPs, RFQs, RFIs on a weekly basis, you could end up with 100 a day of opportunities. And then you'll get distracted and sidetracked because it's in your main email. If you have a procurement email, information email, or contract email, or just another general that you check all the time, then I would use that as your main one for government or corporate procurement or purchasing. Just as a heads up, but I leave it up to you, because one thing that could easily happen, and this happens all of the time, if you don't use your main email and you don't check your procurement email on a regular basis, there may be really, really, really great contracting opportunities that come about and you miss them, or their deadline is 24 hours away. And writing RFPs is not an overnight job. It is, give yourself 14 to 21 days of time to write it, and to do well. And so you may miss the opportunity if you choose an email that's not your regular email. Okay? So just keep that in mind. These things are always flowing, and the deadlines for response to an RFP or bid opportunity is usually going to be 14 to 21 days after the release. You don't have a lot of time. You may be lucky with 30 days, but that's rare. Most of the time it's 21, 27 days, and then it's closed. And once it's closed, it's closed. There are no exceptions. If you do respond and you put together a magnificent bid, it's perfect. You feel very strongly that you presented your best foot, and you get it ready and you're ready to upload and your internet freezes and you miss it by 1 minute and you can't submit, you do not get a second chance. It closes and no one in the organization or entity can reopen it. If you have to deliver it by paper and you are late by 30 seconds, you can't submit. They will not accept it at all. So just know that deadlines are very serious. They will not accept it if you miss that deadline, and you have to dedicate time to prepare and to write a really quality proposal, if you're looking to win these contracts. These contracts I had, I think maybe, how many have I had? I don't know. I'm going to say I probably have had 10 to 12 contracts over a period of time. Um, some of them can be extraordinarily lucrative if you deliver. What's really great about contracting, as I mentioned before with the government, is once you have a contract and you deliver, are guaranteed your payment. If you're the prime, you're guaranteed to receive your money. The only thing to be aware of is that it may not be quick unless you negotiate your terms. So let's say that you do submit your bid, you receive a contract, you let your lawyer look at it, make sure that the terms fit your business, that you have delivery terms that you can meet, that you have payment terms that will not break you, and that you are set up to receive your government payment the way they pay. Um, Whether that's by their P card or via ACH, which is rare, or by check. If it's check, you're looking at 30, 45, 60 days. Make sure your business can withstand that without it hurting you, okay? Until you get into a rhythm with them, and then it'll be better afterwards, okay? Okay. What else can I share with you? Corporate procurement and purchasing is different from government, but each of them have laws and regulations that they must follow. One thing that you must be aware of is you cannot gift or give, donate, or sponsor anything for a corporate or government agent or representative. So what that means is that let's say you sell juices and you want a representative to taste your juice just to be aware of you, and you send a case to the office for them to try. If the value of that case is more than $25, it's a violation. They cannot accept it, and they could get in trouble. Because if you were to win the bid and someone found out that you gave free juice, then there's a whole legal ordeal. And so just know that you can't give free advice, you cannot give free gifts, you cannot give money, you cannot pay for lunch, you can't do any of those things if you're looking to bid on an open opportunity. And although your intentions may be pure, you just want to do something nice, you want to say thank you want to introduce yourself, just know by regulation and rules, technically you can't. And the good ethical ones won't accept it. So just be aware of what the rules and the regulations are. Another rule for you to remember when you are responding to an open bid, if the bid is open, and you are responsive, you have submitted your proposal, you can't communicate with that purchasing manager or decision maker anymore. You can't ask questions, you cannot send an email, you can't say, can you let me see what others wrote? You can't do anything. They can't communicate anything related to the bid anymore. You have to do that during the publicly open process through their process of the question and answer period, or attend the information session about that particular opportunity. Okay. So please don't forget that if that's something that you are interested in doing, make sure you understand what the rules and the regulations are and what type of entity you're dealing with, because some of them can be really serious. Um, Another point after you have submitted your bid is there may be contracts that you may be bidding for that will require you to have three things in place if you are awarded: insurance, proper insurance that's required by the entity. You need to have, what's the word, reserves. You have to have qualifying reserves. What that means is they may ask you for your financials and your financial statements and proof that you have capacity to deliver on the contract, depending on how big it is, okay? Even some small ones, especially if it's your very, very first contract and you're very small, they may require to see your capacity. And if you want to get that award, you have to show them. So just be aware of that, okay? Some projects are really small, quick, especially Jared in the electrical field. Getting corporate contracts and government contracts for electrical is pretty decent. If you haven't already. Going through as a sub on a with a prime is can be very lucrative. And sometimes you may not have to get bonded or get those that insurance if you're a sub. Sometimes you do. You just need to be aware of what's required. But those are quick deals, and you go out, you do the job, you're done, you get paid. Those are really nice though. Consistent money. Okay. Um, so what was the third thing? So you have to have insurance, you have to show capacity, and then you have to sometimes show your proof of certification. That's just simply the cert that you get from the agency when you get approved and certified, and your certification number, just verifying that you are. Okay. All right. So that's during the bid process. If you're awarded the contract, you can celebrate, but then the work starts. You have to get started on the work and delivering. The worst thing that you could do is go after a project just willy nilly, seeing if you can get it and not being prepared to deliver it. Because you mess up one time, you've messed up with that agency forever. And then please understand and know that purchasing managers, they talk. Doesn't matter if they're in the same industry or the same agency or not, across the board, they talk and they share, they communicate, and they talk about suppliers and vendors, and they rank them and they rate them. And so if you do not deliver and you are not ethical and you don't do a great job, you may secretly get banned across industry, and you don't want to do that. So don't take on a project that you're not truly ready to take on. Doesn't mean don't be afraid. I mean, it doesn't mean be afraid. Absolutely not. Just make sure you're ready if you win a contract because you have to deliver. Yeah, that's right, Jackie. They share information. They attend conferences, events. They all work together before in some agency before. They know each other. Small world. And never, ever, ever say anything bad about a purchasing agent about from another location. Again, you never know who knows who anybody. Okay. What else? Make sure that you know your pricing. You know what it costs you to do business, and that you are pricing your services and your products accurately for your business, not just to win the contract. And what that means is don't lowball to the point where you have zero margins and no ability to pay your expenses or your employees because you wanted the bid so bad or the contract so bad that you wanted to present the lowest price and you set yourself up for failure. Don't do that. The difficult part in this whole space is that you do not know what price they are willing to pay. So it's a guess. And so the only thing you can do is base your price off of what you are able to do and hope for the best. Sometimes you're lucky enough to do research because there's Public Information Act that you can ask for that information, but that information takes 3 months or so for you to receive it. You don't have that type of time. And so what you may want to do in the research process is to look up what they've paid for services or products in the past and give yourself time to research that so that you'll know and be aware and see if you can meet those price points. If you cannot, don't even try. If you can and you have a unique value proposition, then go for sure. Okay. If you're in the food, beverage, um, construction, professional services, engineering, in any form or fashion, there's opportunities that exist. We have to remember this world is huge. This nation is huge. You have 50 states that you could provide services to, 50, not just Texas, right? And that's why I say there's billions of dollars across all four levels, across all 50 states. It's not just Texas, it's not just Dallas. Forget about just Dallas. If you're able to serve in other areas, go for it. Austin, Houston, El Paso, New Mexico, you get where I'm going. Colorado, there's tons of opportunities. You don't have to be served, you don't have to just simply target Dallas and Texas. Um, so, first step again, I'm going to recap. You're going to register with, well, first you're going to do your research. Start over, Cynthia. You're going to do your research to see which agencies are a fit and who outsource or purchase what types of products or services that you have to sell. And then you're going to research what type of business they have awarded contracts to before. And please don't get me wrong, there have been some contracts that my company has won that I was like, oh my God, we got that. I mean, I was proud of what we submitted, but some of these things are highly competitive. And I was really elated when we got a couple of them, one with the transportation industry with Denton Transportation Authority. I was really excited to get that contract and a few others. So my point is, just because you're small, woman-owned, minority-owned, veteran-owned, and so forth, does not mean that you can't win. Especially if you know what you're doing, you potentially can for sure. And once you win one, it becomes easier to win more after that. Okay. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to open it up to answer any question that you have. Kimberly, yes.
So you talked about these procurement mixers or like events where we can meet, like, can you give a little bit more information about like who's hosting these and where we could find them?
So there will either be one of two agencies that's going to host these events. One, the agency itself or the entity itself will host purposefully these networking events because they need to meet you. I have to be very honest, there are so many contracts that go unawarded or awarded to the same supplier because we do not show up. We don't show our face. We do not attend the networking events. We don't attend the mixers. We don't introduce ourselves. We don't understand the process. And so the contracts either stay internal or are unawarded, I mean, or they go to the same supplier that's done it for years, even if they're horrible. It's just there's no competition. So you have to show up, and how you find out is once you register, you start to receive all communication from that entity related to procurement. That's how you know. The other is when you get certified, those agencies that I taught you all prior, those agencies host networking events. And you want to carve out time in your day and in your business to attend those things because that's where you get the secret information. And if they host any type of golfing event, attend. Those are the places where they get a couple of drinks and they start talking. And you want to be there to hear what they have to say. Because sometimes they'll share a little bit of information. They won't go over um, what they legally can't share. But that's where you get more in-depth information and more connections. And then they start to remember who you are. Good question. Anybody? Yes. Andrea. Andrea, I can hear you. Unmute yourself.
Am I doing it now? Okay, I have a
Mm-hmm.
couple of questions. With first one, the one you just said, go to these events. For the certification, do you have to already have it, or does it matter? Like she was
You
saying,
don't
can
have
you?
to be certified. Mm-mm.
Okay, so we can just go. And then you were talking about don't give gifts and donations. So with a juice, how do I get them to taste the juice? Like,
You can do a
what's
sampler.
the huh?
If you're at an event and you can ask for a table, you can do samples for them to test anyone there, as long as it's
At their
equal.
event? You can do that at
Uh-huh.
their events.
You can ask them.
Okay, okay.
Mhm. Okay, Cassandra.
Where do I start the research process to find out where I can find some contracts or that may be coming available or what have you?
Um, Corporations and government agencies are public information, and so you would have to just think, what entity would I like to do business with? There, it's the the list of all agencies across all four levels is huge. I couldn't even begin to tell you where, right? So you could think about you can go to the state of Texas to start, and you can look up all of the government agencies on the website and start there, and then that'll get your mind flowing. You can go to, oh, let me tell you, there's a federal website of all federal agencies. Give me a moment. Ooh, Cynthia, think what's the name of that website? Oh, it's not fed.gov. Give me 1 second, okay? Look and see if I can remember. Don't go anywhere. It's just a senior moment. Okay, here we go. Here, let me put it in the chat. USAspending.gov can help you do research on who won uh, government contracts in the past and where the government spends money. That's a great start, okay? USAspending.gov. And then the second one is FBO.gov. Or is it FedBizOps? Give me 1 second. Yeah, it's FedBizOps. That's a good one. .gov. If it has .gov, it's a legitimate government website, okay? FedBizOps is, yeah. Hope I typed it right. Ops, OPPS. Oh, I didn't. My bad. OPPS, not OPS. Oh, okay. They moved their website. FBO is now SAM.gov. Okay, let me put it up here. SAM.gov is the federal registration or federal database where you want to register with for federal opportunities if you're ever interested in federal contracts. Now that's big boy, that's big girl stuff, and You want to go through the local, what is their name? There's a local agency that receives government funding to provide technical assistance when it comes to federal contracting. They're over in Arlington, Timber. I'll look it up here in just a moment. But they provide technical assistance to help people business owners how to understand cross timbers. Okay, Cynthia, you rocking and rolling today. Cross Timbers is the name of it. And they used to be over in procurement. So yeah, UTA. Okay, here I'll type it. Cross Timbers Procurement Center, UTA. Now I'm not gonna say that they are the super duper absolute wonderful best. Okay, you got some mature folks over there that have been there for a while and not excited about anything in particular, but their job is to help you and give you guidance on how to bid on federal and state contracts, okay? That's their job. Okay. So those are some websites to start from a federal level, the state of Texas to get your creative flowing on all of the agencies that exist, okay? And then again, don't forget there's municipal cities that you can do business with. And then you got police, you got healthcare, you got school districts, TEA, you got anything in legal, um, all across the board. There's no shortage. And remember what I told you, government agencies do not create anything, they don't make anything. So anything that they need to buy, they have to procure it, they have to purchase it. Anything that they need that they don't do internally. Okay? So they spend a lot of money. Shanae.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Shanae, you had a question.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Okay. So going through the RFP process, I remember how difficult the verbiage was. And
Okay.
right. But after I did it one time, I remember thinking, okay, so now I know what they're asking me, right? Is there a place where I could get like um a template of a proposal just because now I'm at the point of the whole bid process and wanting to respond properly with the proposal, but I don't want to, I don't want to send them anything that doesn't have everything included. Is there like a template I can look into or look online or, maybe a website that could guide me? Just making sure that I'm using the right verbiage, that I know certain things are just it is the way, what I can do is just what I can do, and I'm telling you what I can do. But is there anything to guide me as far as the format?
hmm When you go
Okay.
to schedule an appointment with Cross Timbers Procurement Center, it's all free because they receive federal funding. They have templates. They have people who will actually sit with you and walk. Now, you can't go in there and say, hey, write this bid for me.
Of
You can
course.
go and say, I'm writing a bid. I want you to review what I have written, and they'll provide
Yeah.
you feedback and they will explain to you what the fields mean and how to answer it. They will do that for you, for sure.
So, quick question about that then. So um my contracts are with the DISDs. Would they have a department would their procurement possibly be able to assist or no?
Uh-huh. So it can't not be an open opportunity that you're
Open
bidding
up,
on. Uh-huh.
right.
And
But
so
it
if
can be
it's
outside of one.
it could be a generic one, and you schedule a meeting with the that division I was telling you about, diversity or minority supplier, right? And you
Minority,
ask
yeah.
for a meeting, and
Okay,
their job is to train you and show you how and explain it to you.
perfect. Because I'm getting all kind of bids and I'm just like deer in the headlights. I'm like, huh?
It
But I
can,
don't
yes.
I don't understand improperly. you know.
It could become very overwhelming very quickly if you
Yeah,
don't have a strategy for who you want to work with and what you want to offer. Because once you register, as I told you before, all the bids with the codes that you put in are
yeah,
going to flow. And
yep,
some of them are very complicated. Some of them are very simple, fill in this form, but it takes
yep.
time and you have to answer it right. And
And I'm in
yeah,
the dark because I missed like two times. And this is why, because I'm loving the conversation. This is so helpful. Two different times missed meetings. Now, I will say the bids, I wasn't very interested in either one of them, but they were great opportunities, just not for me. They just weren't for me, but I had other people that I could have told about. And I was like, doggone it. And then I didn't have the opportunity to continue to talk. Now, I will say Garland is a little bit more open to talking, but DISD, man, they won't even respond. Like,
they're
so
busy.
I'm just, yeah, extremely so. But I'm a little bit, I feel better now. I feel better now. I'm like, okay, those, I didn't really want those. Thanks for the suggestion on the email because I never even thought about that because truth being told, they were in the email, just kind of buried in my regular email. And you're right, just buried in my regular email. Just buried.
Yeah, it happens. So yeah, I would separate them, but then make it a point. I used to when I used to do this, I stopped doing government contracting. But when I used to do this, I would dedicate Monday mornings to the
Okay.
time that I review all opportunities that filtered in the email over the weekend from the previous week as well. And that was my time to just comb through it and see if I see anything that meets what I could feel. And then I would flag that. And that's what I would focus on. And then I would create, here's another side note for you all. If you decide this is something you want to do to grow your business, because one $50,000 contract could easily take you to six figures in a year. You understand what I'm saying? So if you've been making 50,000 or 35,000 a year, generating revenue from one-offs, right? You get a 50 or $60,000 contract for a year or two, then your revenue opportunity is increased to six figures automatically. Of course, you have to deliver to make it, but that's how you grow, right? But again, dedicating time to delivering to a corporation or a government agency takes organization, it takes
Mhm.
financing. You have to have the capacity to deliver, and it takes a team. It's not
Yeah.
something that one solo person can do by themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My
Thank you.
pleasure. hmm Good question. All right. Anybody else have any questions about this process? Raise your hand if you're interested in government or corporate. It doesn't have to be contracting. Good. Okay.
I did
Good.
have another question.
Good. Hmm.
My question was about the capacity sheet. Um,
Hmm.
when you
Capability statement.
capability statement when you're starting
Yeah.
out, um,
Hmm.
and you have to show these to the agencies for the bids. How does that look
Hmm.
when you're new or when you're just starting out? I
It's
mean, like,
okay.
what's your main? How do you win when you don't have a lot to show on your capability?
I understand what you're asking. Um, you win by understanding what value you bring to the table. You win by the right pricing, and you win with a strong statement of what you can do. Um, that's how you win. But the most important in my personal experience is relationships. Attending those meetings, shaking hands, not being obnoxious and overly eager, but really being very confident in stating, I understand that you guys purchased this. Let me share my capability statement. We have been able to do this. and we'd like to grow by building a relationship with you. And when you present yourself in that way, and you can show that you've had some experience from the public sector, that helps them to for you to stand out in their minds, in my personal opinion, until you start to win some. I will show you real quick one of my old ones. Where is it? Here. Yeah. So it's one of my old capability statements. Again, you want this to be one sheeter, but mine, I made it a front and back, okay? And it was slick, it was professionally printed, and everything should be professionally printed. Everything should be bold, not bold, but branded. It should not have a million colors. It should be all about the words. And it should be very clear that it's your capability statement. You give your synopsis of your pitch or your pitch of who you are. You immediately list your certifications that you have, if you have any. You put your certification numbers on there. That comes from your cert when you get it. You put your sales tax ID. You note what type of ownership you have, what type of legal structure you have. Here are my certs, were my certs here. Your EIN, your DUNS. If you have not registered for your DUNS, please do so. Your cage, you need that as well if you're going to do federal contracting. Okay. Um, DUNS is your Dun and Bradstreet, just in case you don't know what that stands for. Okay. Register with Dun and Bradstreet. Side note, and very important, and I'm going to say it very, very loud. Do not pay for anything with Dun and Bradstreet. You are not required. You do not have to pay for anything with Dun and Bradstreet. Those are extra value add services. They make it seem like you have to, but you don't. All you need to do is register your business and get your DUNS number. That is it. Okay? There's absolutely nothing that you are required to do unless you want extra services. Please remember that. Give your history and what capacity. Capacity means how many team members, how many licenses, how many locations you have, what type of special equipment, if is required. That type of information is what it means, capacity. It means you have a crew, you have a team, you have locations, you have a setup, you have equipment, you have what is needed to deliver. And as you can see, this is no more than 3 sentences. Very, very succinct and to the point. And then the last piece, which is so critically important that I've seen in my evaluation over 21 years, that people forget to put their contact information on here. Like, if you are distributing this at a networking event, which you should, and it's on your website and they download it, how are they going to reach you? So remember to put your contact information, put your email, your website for sure. Please make sure your website is professional and ready. Put your link to the capability statement on your website because they will go to download it. And any other like list of services, a page on your website where your list of services are, and so forth. Okay. So it should be short, sweet, to the point. One page is preferred. Mine was one page front and back so I can make sure that they had a full understanding of what I do. The other thing you want to be aware of is that I did not put more than one, two, three NAICS codes. Any more than that, you start looking like you got scatterbrain, doing too much. Be focused in what industry you are representing on one capability statement, okay? Okay. All right. That's that. You can Cage Code. Cage Code has something to do with Sam, and I have to be honest with you, Andrea. I can't tell you what it is. I just got it because I knew I had to have it. But it's for federal contracting. All right. Any other questions? This can be a very lucrative world. It takes time. Give yourself 12 months to 18 months to get through the process and learn it. Build relationships. Write your first one when you're ready. They take 3 to 6 months to respond and award. It's not instant. But once you do get the award, it's time to work. Okay? All right. There have been many small minority owned businesses that have built $1 million entities selling to corporations and the government. They don't fool with individuals, it's too costly. Okay? All right. Very good. I'm excited. No other questions? Okay, very good. I'll be sending out an email tomorrow, get us all back on the same page. We have about 2 more weeks, and then you'll have downtime to work and prepare your pitch. And you'll receive more information about that and the code to access the application to submit your applications as well. For those of you who are planning to pitch, which I hope is everyone. Don't be afraid. This is time for you to practice in a safe place with us. It's real, but I want you to practice and get really good at it.
It's Cynthia, it's Terrence here.
Mhm.
Is there a, we were talking about pitching. Is